have this luncheon today. I appreciate it. Yeah, just want to share a book that God blessed me to write, and called Inspired Blessings, Led by God to Inspire the World with Love, Faith, and Hope. And yeah, definitely to say it's spiritual, yes it is. Let's say fall of 2010, I was walking in the parking lot, and all of a sudden I heard, do the book. And I was like, you're right, that makes sense. And I took that leap of faith. So in January 2011, I had started my first YouTube for people to follow me along the journey. And so now I have 23 YouTubes on there. And so in this book, I take 4 themes. The first theme being, I'm not a writer. To me, I'm still not a writer, but God's blessed me to be a writer. And the miracle, that's a miracle, because I didn't have any experience, didn't go to college. And honestly, it wasn't even my things to do list, because my grammar stinks besides that. But, so what I'm saying is how God can take somebody who absolutely has no experience and make her to do something that she's not, thought she was never capable of doing. And so there's a lot of miracle stories within that. I take the second theme. The second theme is how I was left in a bathroom, abandoned, in Seoul, Korea, left to die. And so basically I was found and I was brought to America, and I talk about that. And I talk about the trials and the blessings of that. And it's funny because sometimes when you're the minority, you also realize, oh my goodness, how cruel sometimes people can be, and how, with kids, especially when you're in school. And so there was only, I would have to say, the 2 or 3 Asians. And so I used to, be made fun of all the time for being, Chinese, or they would say Chinese, but it was really Korean. Okay, but anyway, so I would talk about that, and I would talk about, the struggles, but I also would talk about the blessings of how I had this adopted family who just took me, as their own. I had 4 instant brothers, Irish mother, Italian father, So I talk about, my experience in growing up and things like that, and where I also found my faith. I then take the third theme. The third theme being is that God had blessed me with over 100 inspirations. At one time I had over 60 stores selling my inspirations up until September 11th. And so I decided to choose and take 40 of them. I put them in my book. And I put the ones that really I felt had substance, the meaning of life. So you're talking about after Columbine High School, after September 11th, after I heard too many people being addicted to the wrong things of the world, and destroying their lives and their families. Also, too many people taking their lives, okay? And people losing hope, people searching for God. So it's a book of substance. I also then take 14 individual people, and I also put their true stories in the book. And their stories range from what you hear today, abusive, situations, marriages, people, again, destroying their lives because of addiction. Then you also hear a lot of mothers who want to be mothers, but medically can't be mothers, okay? So you're going to hear, you're going to read miracle stories and how God actually interceded. And in one way he spoke to them in a dream, or even showed a slide projection on another. So, and then also I'm talking about a girl who had, at the age of 14 found out she had brain tumor. All right. Also, the gentleman who has a near-death experience. So I'm saying is, again, the stories have substance to them as well. So I take these 4 themes, and they're intertwined, and I've been blessed that people say that it's an excellent book. And the tagline of Inspired Blessings, Led by God to Inspire the World, Love, Faith, and Hope, is keep inspired blessings within arm's reach to help give you comfort when others are at a loss for words. So what you'll find on these 23, 24 YouTube videos is that I've done, a TV interview that was showed out in the Hamptons. I've also done some radio shows as well, and I'm also doing different speaking engagements. And God's blessed me now. I was mentioning is that now I'll be doing book signings, but I'm also having my first book signing in New Jersey. And I don't like going past Nassau County because I'm a chicken when it comes to driving in the city because nothing pays directions. But
so you're learning fearlessness.
I am, but I'm also asking my girlfriend to come along with me to do the driving. Yeah, so it's funny because sometimes what it's taught me is that sometimes people need to, just take that step. Because honestly, if I didn't hear do the book, I never would have taken the step. And I never would have realized today I'd be standing here speaking with you guys, and what a blessing. And so I just want, people to get out of this book is that, yeah, life is hard. There are a lot of trials, but there's also God, and God is there for you. And you know what? If just we can all just realize that there is a greater power, that's really wants to help you, then that's God. And so the fact that He can help you in your situation when really down and low, or you lost a loved one and things like that, and you lost hope even for your finances. You know, so that's what I'm hoping the book does, is help you.
Did God speak directly to you? Did you hear God speak to you?
Yeah, when I was walking, believe it or not, I was walking in New Farms Park, and I guess, I'm trying to think if I even thought about it, if I was thinking about Inspired Blessings, but I really had thought I was going to bring Inspired Blessings back in the form of a greeting card one, because I even had a prototype of how it would be made. And so what happened was, as I'm walking, all of a sudden I heard, "Do the book." And I was like, "You're right, that makes sense." And you know, the thing is that whenever I felt that God speaks to me, I actually answer back. And there's a story, when you read the first theme part of it, is it talks about even the butterfly. I mean, it talks about how, for instance, I was trying to think of the name of the company, and I write about, I called my girlfriend, Barbara, and I said to her, "Barbara, what do you think of True Blessings? I'm trying to think of the name of the company." She goes, "Yeah, that sounds good." I'm like, still not sure. So I'm like, stepping in the shower, I'm like, "God, what should I name it?" The next thing, with feeling and sound from the middle of the chest and out of my mouth, comes Inspired Blessings. I'm like, "You're right, that's perfect." You know, so there's many different instances with that. And you'll just even hear about the different things of how it was even prophesied 14 years ago, when I even had just written the first 5 inspirations, and from somebody like my church, and like, "You know, what do you think of this, Linda?" And so she's reading it, and all of a sudden she goes, "June, I got this vision." I'm like, "What?" "You're going to be writing a book, you're going to be doing some kind of a movie, and you're going to be speaking at different places." And what I did was I laughed at her. I said, "Are you kidding me, right?" I mean, because that would have been the last thing I would ever thought was possible. So, but meanwhile, it came true, you know? And it's funny, because to elaborate on that a little is, as I'm walking the parking lot, I heard, "Do the book." And I was like, "You're right, you know, perfect." Anyway, next day I called her up, and I'm like, and I haven't spoken to her in a while, and I said, "By the way, you know," I said, "I felt like God wanted me to tell you something, but he told me to write the book." And she goes, "Jimmy, you're not going to believe this." I'm like, "What?" I've given her 3 of my inspirations over time. So every day she tells me that she reads it, right? So what happens is, she was reading it, and when she read the last one, she said, "God, I don't understand. You gave me this vision, nothing became of it. Whatever happened?" Next day, "Hey, Linda, by the way, I felt like God wanted me to tell you something. He told me to do the book." You know, so it's funny how it all seems to come out and work together, you know?
I'd like to ask a question on your religion. You know, your father and mother were Irish and Italian.
Yes.
You're probably Catholic, maybe, but
Right.
not necessarily. But what do you say to people who say that I feel very connected to God, but I don't have a religion?
Well, mine isn't a religion. Mine's a relationship.
I see.
Yeah, because
So
you know, God's
that's
with you
that's
every
your
day.
thinking too.
Yeah, because religion is something that's man-made. It's something that's, you know,
Yeah, it's a bunch
more like a
of,
business. I hate to say that.
Yeah, it's a bunch of rituals that we
Yeah,
put together.
right.
I mean, not to
Yeah.
denigrate it, but it's a you know, practice of a lot of things. I personally had a 300-acre farm up in northern Vermont, mostly woods, and I would walk through there, and I never felt that I was anybody. I was never felt like I was alone.
Yeah. Well, I'm telling you, you know what? There's so many different instances in my life that I definitely know that God is real. And when you look at your own body, and you think of the making of the retina and how it's got over 100 lights to decipher from, along with, you know, 100 billion cones, 100 billion rods, and also we open our eyes, the next thing we can see. How could that possibly be if that was accident? You know? So,
What did you do before the book?
what did I do before the book? Well, I still do the same thing that I did only a couple of days a week. I sell insurance.
Okay.
So, you know what, I think that experience has got me to be able to get to the point where I've done in marketing, you know, my book and things like that. So as you can see, I've taken a lot of experience from the past umpteen years that I've been selling insurance and even speaking to people as well. You know, so that's been, yes.
Just like Ernie shared his story, are you finding that more and more people are open to sharing their own stories, their own relationships?
Oh, yeah.
with-
Yeah, yes, I do. And, you know, where some of them have shared with me their near-death experience, and some have shared with me. Actually, even when people have lost loved ones, okay? And so I have, for instance, a very close relative of mine lost her son, 25 years old, motorcycle accident. And so she had felt that she knows that sometimes he's around. Sometimes what happens is that the dog will be just barking up a storm, whatever, all of a sudden just stops dead in his tracks and looks up in the corner of the room in the ceiling and just is still quiet. You know, so yeah, so there's a lot of stories, and good story is I had this lady who came up to me and she said to me, you know, Jimmy, she said, I was so close with my grandmother, so close with her, and my grandmother had prayed that before she died that I would get a glimpse of heaven, okay? So what happens is, she one day is driving, and the next thing, all of a sudden, something happens to her. She has this out-of-body experience, sees a glimpse of heaven, comes back to her body, and so what happens is now, she's like, did I just have like a seizure? You know, she didn't know what was happening. So when she went to visit her grandmother, because she was still alive, grandmother said, did you get the gift? Did you get something? She's like, what are you talking about, Grandma? She goes, well, I had prayed that you would get a glimpse of heaven, okay, before I died, because I know how close we are. So the next thing she tells grandma, that's what it was, that's what happened to me. And then a couple of days later, her one of her friends sees her. She says, you know, I saw you driving, I saw you at a stop sign with your hands on the steering wheel. For 10 minutes, you were looking up to heaven. You were looking up to heaven. She goes, what happened? So that confirmed what happened. You know, so yeah, so I hear a lot of miracle stories, and you know, it's just the existence of God.
That's a nice way to go about your day.
Appreciate it.
Everybody sharing their good experiences.
Yes, yes. But then also you get those people that don't believe in God, and you know, like I've been doing fairs, and sometimes they'll just walk past and say, I don't believe in God. You know, but that's okay. You know, maybe one day they will.
Yeah, keep walking, honey.
We're going to continue.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks.
They're about to serve lunch now, and then we will continue with our next witness.
Okay.